Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to Football Heritage TV. Savva here. Hope you are all doing well. Just noticed my Football Heritage sign has moved just ever so slightly. I'll blame the wife for that one. Here we are today for a live phone-in show. So basically the way it will work today is I will not be having a panel of 9 people on. If you have a question you want to talk about, if you have a topic you want to speak about, if you have something you want to say, please join. We'll have a conversation and then I'll kindly ask you to leave and I'll bring the next person on. That is the fairest way to do it. Listen, Bucklock, he said the intro is dire. Fire. I don't know which one he meant, but thank you either way. I'm proud of my dire fire. At the end of the day, let's face it, Tottenham Hotspur fans, we want the moon, we want the stars, and we will moan about absolutely everything. We get a new manager, we moan about the length of the contract, we moan of the club he's coming from. To be honest, I'm just grateful they've managed to find someone that wants to manage this god-awful football club at the moment. So where do we go from here? What will make fans happy? We've got some really truly terrible fans of this fan base. We've got fans who aren't terrible, but they just don't understand who we are. This guy being the main culprit, Benjamin, absolute knows nothing about football. Hello, Benjamin. How are you? You know I'm going to call you out for being stupid. Here we are. I'm calling you out. So, where do we go from here? Well, we can start by putting the link into the chat. So I'll put the link in. You must have your camera on if you want to come on. You must have your camera on. You must have a name as well. Please, if I see a person in the background without their camera on, they will not be accepted onto the show. Please be dressed. Please be somewhere quiet. If you're in the middle of a coffee shop, please don't join. Please don't join if you've got your parents in the room or your kids or whatever, because it just gets loud. So the link is in the chat. Have something that you will want to talk about. I will let you on for a few minutes. Then I will ask you to leave. Please don't be offended when I ask you to leave. Look, we have got a lot of people who are very, very, very disrespectful. Next Level English is another one who's very disrespectful, saying Ange Postecoglou is like being promised tickets to the front row of a premiere and instead being given a bargain bucket DVD. I would suggest that Next Level English hasn't got a clue what he's talking about. We are in a bad place as a club. I don't know why people can't understand that. We're in a very bad place as a football club right now. Why do these people think top managers want to join? And why have we not learned from from Jose and Conte that this is not the type of manager we should be hiring? How do these fans with low IQs not understand this? I really don't get it. I really don't understand it. I've supported this club for 40 years and I've now got children who are too scared to come on and tell me what they think. So here's my calling out. Next Level English. Benjamin, these sort of fans, jump on. Greg Spur, all these trolls that keep going, rah, 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 rah. You don't know anything, Savva. Come on, this is your chance. Debate me. Let's see who knows about our beloved club, me or you. Next Level English, you are a turnip, my friend. I don't care if I lose you as a follower. I like to have good people that have good debates. Steph has said, you guys are going to fall in love with this manager. I'm telling you, so I'm pumped to see him. Darryl has said the Levy out will be happy. Ange is the manager, so it's a win-win. Levy won't come back from this. It goes tits up. Sue, bigging up Sue, has said, I will welcome the new gaffer and give him full support. Working on the clown, Levy's going to need it. Eamon, good afternoon to you. THFC fan has said Postecoglou is going to crumble under this board. A manager is going to go, so I'm not supporting this manager. Well, you're not a fan of the club then if you won't support the manager, will you? This is a good appointment, somebody that wants to build, somebody that is where we are into the club. Stop thinking that we should be hiring top managers. We are not ready for it. Please, please, please. Good afternoon, Terry. By the way, I'll bring people on. Have a question. We'll have one debate and then I'm going to ask you to move on. Please don't be offended. Benjamin, if you're not a troll, come on. Come on. Come on. You're underwhelmed, but you're not giving me any names of people you want to hire. You keep going to the likes of Luis Enrique. Why? What's Luis Enrique going to do? Nagelsmann turned us down. Who do you think we're getting? Anyway, yeah. No, I just called you stupid. Next level. Not everyone, you and Benjamin. Because people like you say really stupid things. And you know what? I'm not in the game of pleasing my viewers. If I was here to please viewers, I'd be sitting here telling you how wonderful Spurs are. This wonderful football club. But I understand what the club are. And you have a different opinion, but you don't understand. I don't even think you support Spurs. You don't seem to understand what we are. Anyway, let's get the first person on. The first person I've got backstage was Abdi, but his camera seems to be off. I don't know. Steve, Abdi, are you there? I'll give you 5 seconds, man. Are you there? Are you there? Steve, we're going to have a little conversation and then we're going to go to somebody else. So, Steve, big up, Steve. How are you, mate? You well?
Hey, I'm all right, man. I'm chilling. What about you?
I'm good. I'm good. You recovered from the other night?
yeah, actually. To be fair, if anyone was wondering why did he get so, I mean, to be fair, if you're going into it thinking I got to talk about Tottenham Hotspur for 24 hours, you kind of got to find a way to get through it mentally tact. So, but man, hey, it was fun. It was for a good cause. I had a blast and then I passed out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll come to you in 1 second, Steve. Again, Leon. Yeah, I've seen this a lot, that the media are reporting that Nagelsmann is going to PSG. If anyone wonders why Nagelsmann's not coming to Tottenham, it's because he can go to clubs like PSG, right? Let's call it for what it is. Steve, what did you want to say, my man? What did you want to say?
I just wanted to say once again, for all these people saying that Postecoglou this, Postecoglou that, he's not for Spurs. We can get Enrique. Like you say, Savva, it's a complete lack of self-awareness. It's like me with my salary working at Walmart. I make $20 an hour. That would be like me saying, well, because my parents, let's say they drove Ferraris, that means I deserve one, right? Because I'm just so used to, riding around in a Ferrari in my childhood or a Lambo or whatever, but I can't afford one. I can't afford one. It would make no sense for me to go and pursue one when it's not attainable. It's not the smart choice to go for that. And let's say I did go for it anyways, end up broke, and then I have to recover from a financial hellhole. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go do that again. It's just...
It's strange to me. It's strange that, look, all I ask for is for people to be honest about where we are as a club. And it's almost like every other fan base understands what Tottenham are, apart from Spurs fans who seem really confused as to why we should be buying players like Vardy and we should be bringing in top managers like Conte and Jose. It baffles me. And when you call it out, it's my opinion. Opinions are great. But at what point do we look at the facts? At what point do we look at the evidence to say it's an opinion, right? But it's nonsense. Like Benjamin will say, Enrique wanted us. Like, because Benjamin's got a direct WhatsApp link to Enrique who's told him that.
That would be like me saying Mbappe wanted to go to Newcastle, though.
Mate, it's mad. Look, I mean, first and foremost, Luis Enrique, Steve, if this man came in, what evidence have we got that this man can go into an utter shambles and build? And that's where Spurs are, right? We need to build.
Yeah.
Again, it's another big name for big name's sake from what I can see.
It's because people think that Luis Enrique is a miracle worker. And because Luis Enrique brought in, I believe he was the one to bring in Neymar from Santos, people think that Luis Enrique is going to replicate the trick. Oh, well, if we hire him, he could turn in Kulusevski to a Neymar. We could have a front three that produced like that. People actually, whether they admit it or not, that's the kind of thing that I'm led to believe, where it's like, you must want him because you think he can turn from water to wine. That's what that's why people are hungry for an Enrique. But like I said, with the car example, me trying to go for a car that doesn't fit my salary budget, I've already messed up in the past because I bought a car that I couldn't afford. Right. And so I shouldn't go do it again. I should go get a car that I can afford. Right. And if it breaks down or I needs a new part, I won't be in financial, I won't be in a financial hellhole because I bought a car that I can get a part for, I can afford. That's exactly what it's like at Spurs. You guys are not at the caliber right here, right now, to be having a luxury manager or one of those. You need a project manager, just like some people can't afford Ferraris or whatever. So they're like, you know what? I'm going to buy an old Ford Mustang and fix it up. Yeah, it's not the flashiest or sexiest, but it's something I can work on and I can be proud of or whatever, because that's what if I want a nice car or whatever, I have to find something that isn't this. You know what I'm saying? It's all about it's self-awareness. It's self-awareness. And yeah, I don't know. Man.
I just find it utterly crazy, some of the comments I read. Like, have you noticed, it's always the people that give it the biggest that can't come on and actually elegantly say what they need to say. People like this. I'm sick of hearing that I keep hearing that what was it they keep saying? That my standards are in the mud. Not my standards. This is what the football club is now. This is where we are as a football club. And I'm still not seeing any names. No names are being thrown at me as alternatives here.
Realistic ones.
Realistic. Okay,
like if
Nagelsmann's going to...
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, Nagelmann's going to go to PSG. Doesn't that tell everyone what we need to know? Nagelmann's going to go and manage Neymar, Mbappe, Agate, who they've just signed today, I believe. Romano just announced that. Why is he going to come to Tottenham Hotspur? Him and his advisors aren't stupid. Yeah. They know they can do better than Tottenham Hotspur. And then you get this. Savva has become a Levy apologist these days.
Can you come on the link and tell us what?
Let me just spurred. Daniel Levy, I've wanted out for 16 years. Unfortunately, we are where we are because of Daniel Levy. That doesn't change the fact that where we are is not top managers right now. If you are too dumb to understand that, then I understand why you don't have a picture. You don't want to show the world how stupid and dumb you are.
Bro, it's just like, again, it's lack of self-awareness. And then when people want to live in La La Land because they don't want to face the music, they don't want to look at things for what they are, they have to, for someone that does see it how it is, they have to go and take a pot shot at someone that does, because that person doesn't confirm what they believe. And that's not how things work. Like for me, if people were suggesting a manager like the AC Monza manager, that's a realistic one. I forget his name. It's not Italiano because Montella. No, not Vincenzo Montella. I forget his name at the moment. But there's this manager at AC Monza. I'm blanking on the name. He's been playing very good football with Monza. It's their first ever year in Serie A. He came in mid-season and they've beaten Juve twice. Competed very well. I think they actually beat Inter at home as well. They've been a top 10 side in Serie A. And they've been playing good football. Like if someone had that sort of name,
Spurs fans won't like that because they don't know him.
Exactly.
Spurs fans don't know him, don't watch any football. Do you know what? Rather than me get annoyed at these absolute numpties, do you want to answer that for me? This is somebody, again, who doesn't understand his own football club. And just so you know, right? Yeah. Just so you know, Spurred is having a pop at me. You're welcome to come on. Put your money where your mouth is. I bet you don't because you're a child. Ready? Spurred, you come on. Ready? Next Level English, you can come on. Benjamin, you can come on. None of them can come on and debate me. They're all very good in the chat. Oh, Savva, come on, debate me. But Steve, this comment, take that for me.
Okay, Savva. Conte came to Spurs off the back of a league title with Internazionale. Let's not pretend Levy couldn't get Enrique. Well, tell me how that worked out, first of all. Tell me how that worked out. Exactly. How did that work out? How did that work out for you? And second of all, Antonio Conte wanted to leave Inter. So even if Inter offered him whatever he wanted to leave anyways because, it's almost like that's what Conte does. He doesn't stay at clubs for a very long time. You're lucky if you get 2.5 or 3 seasons out of him. It's almost like that's how things work with Conte. So, again, give me a break. And yes, thank you for the comments. Rafael Palladino is the AC Monza manager. I've been very impressed with him. Like, that is a name that's realistic, right? You find a manager in a different league, possibly, that's playing good football, that has taken a side like Monza, who it's their first ever season in Serie A. I know they're backed by the Berlusconis, but they don't have Baresi playing for them. You know, they have Pessina, I believe on loan from Atalanta and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like a manager like that, that's a realistic name where it's like, you know what? He managed in Serie A. I value that over the SPFL. That's a suggestion where it's like Spurs could probably bring someone like him in. Who's that child? Next level English. I'm not a child. I'm 22 years old.
Don't worry. Listen,
What?
I think the problem you've got with anything is sometimes what we want versus what we can get is two very different things. And
yeah,
it's all well and good saying, I want Jose. We got Jose. Look how Jose got really fed up with this job because he wasn't backed.
yep.
It's all well and good saying we want Conte. Look at Conte. Every single press conference, he might as well have been saying, sack me, sack me, sack me. I hate it here. Sack me. But then you get these fans who don't seem to understand that. And their first thought is, go and get Enrique. For what? For what? Do they not understand we need to build our way back up to some... We need to do what Poch did. We need a manager to come in who's not got all of the expectations of the world on his shoulder to sort it out like that.
Yeah.
But these fans already having a pop at Ange Postecoglou. This is our new manager, but, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. This is our new manager, and look at the way our fans are treating him already. And they call themselves fans.
I think people also forget that Celtic is a gigantic club. Let's not make any. They might not play in the biggest league, but Celtic are a gigantic club. You don't think those fans demand that they win every single SPFL game? You don't think those demands? You don't think those fans demand that they play attractive, attacking football, and that they don't win every single game, and they especially have to beat Rangers, and if they don't, their manager, your head is on a stake potentially if you lose to Rangers. Like, do people not acknowledge the fact that to manage Celtic, it's not like an easy thing to do. Like it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing for me, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me come to Ratish. Just before I do, sorry, part of what I do is I call out trolls, by the way. So if everyone thinking stop giving them time, I have to show the world how thick these people are. I have to. Right. It's in me, because some of us have supported Spurs for 40 years. Right? When I get these children who live in their mum's basement telling me that I don't know my own club. So, Savva, you have low expectations because of Levy. I've supported Levy till now, and I believe we can hire top-class managers. But there is no manager available out there yet. Savva has low standard. You've just told me you supported Daniel Levy till now. I've been Daniel Levy out since 2007. You, sir, are what they call an idiot. You're probably the village idiot. You're probably that bloke that we all see walking around on a Saturday, nowhere to go, no friends, because you're an idiot. I'll call you out. If I lose subscribers for it, you come to my channel if you want truth. You don't come to my channel if you want Chris Cowling telling you all how great we are, going on Sky Sports telling the world that we're a big club and we should be winning things. All right? You don't get that from me. You get realism. All right? Sorry, as we were. Ratish, what did you want to say, my friend?
Big up Savva, big up the panel. Yeah, first time on this show. I appear on Tottenham Away quite a bit, so obviously follow your channel.
Worries, man.
So a couple of things really. So first and foremost, I want to talk about Ange Postecoglou. I think we have to give him a chance, really, because there's no point going for big name managers. Like you said it yourself, Sav, is that we have to go back to basics, because we need to lower the expectations straight away, because there's no point, we don't expect Ange to come in and work miracles. I think the first thing he needs to do if he comes in, obviously, is to fix our defense, just stop leaking so many goals. And secondly, about the fans, the fans seem to have this entitlement where, Ange Postecoglou coming in is going to backfire. Like the fact that, and also others saying that you need Premier League experience to take over at Spurs, like that's a myth. It is a complete myth because regardless of if you have experience or not in the Premier League, as long as you're qualified to do the role and with the right backing, hopefully you'll be able to prosper. And I think from our perspective, we have to ensure Ange gets full control if possible.
Ratish, one thing I would say is a lot of the conversation, I keep asking everybody this, is we keep saying, will he be successful? Can he do it at Tottenham? Can he do it in the Premier League? But, and by the way, I can see people in the back in the back of the stream. I can see you. I will get people in and out. Please don't worry. The one thing I would say about that, Ratish, is what does that actually mean? When we say, can he do it? Will he be successful? Well, what does that look like in year one at Spurs, year two at Spurs? Because I feel that we've got a lot of idiot fans that will go, well, if he doesn't win a trophy and get top four in year one, he's failed. And I look at the league and go, Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Man U aren't going anywhere, right? Liverpool just signed Alexis McAllister. They'll be back up there. Chelsea, they'll be back up there. You've now got Brighton, who are a good team. Aston Villa have got money and just got in Europe with a great manager. Fulham are doing well. Brentford are doing well.
West Ham will get their act together next season.
Right. So what is it? What does being successful and can he do it look like in Spurs colours?
Sure. I think for Ange, obviously his first year is, because there's no Europe, it's a good thing. 7 days a week, let him implement his style of football. I think what will be a good season is if the top six finish, if possible, or just to get back into Europe. Really, I think with no Europe, because I think 7 days a week, it's just a clean slate really, and I think the cups try and take it seriously if possible. It depends on the draw, but I think now that now that the managerial position is starting to sort out, that's the first step. The next step is to bring in a footballing director to give the manager the tools to go out and sign new players. And with Postecoglou is that, people say, oh, he's managed Celtic. Yeah, that's true. But when he took over at Celtic the first time, you remember, guys, is that at the time Rangers were dominating Scottish football. Celtic were playing second fiddle, and he took over there, picked them up, and then made them competitive, and just went on to win the Scottish domestic treble. Like you still have to perform. You have to beat what's put in front of you.
Yeah, I think that's true. Abdi, let me come to you.
You're right.
As a non-Spurs fan, are you shocked by how dumb some of our fan base actually is, and how little our fans seem to understand how far we have fallen, as a football club?
You're asking me about fan intelligence. I'm an Arsenal fan. I know what goes on.
Yeah, you've got some idiot fans as well, mate. Don't worry about that. You've got some idiot fans.
I'm aware of that. But I can't seem to make sense of it. Postecoglou looks like a decent manager.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Celtic a few times in the Champions League. They look good going forward, but they do look a bit shaky defensively. And given your car crash defenders, I can't help but think you'll be on the end of a few batterings in your first year.
But, they will be anyways, regardless of who comes in with those defenders that Spurs got. So to be fair, doesn't that strengthen the Postecoglou argument? Like, we can all agree here, huh?
How does it strengthen the argument?
It strengthens the argument for me because we already know that Spurs defenders are terrible, right? So next year they're going to be terrible. You may as well bring in a manager that can at least put the ball in the back of the net. He has a good track record of that.
Hang on, guys. Hang on. Aren't we all going into this? Are we going into this assuming that Ange Postecoglou is not going to buy a single defender to play in this team?
That's true.
I feel like what we're doing is we're automatically saying the squad that he's got now is going to be the exact same squad that we start the season with. Now,
I think the core will remain the same, even if he brings in some of his own players.
But the core's going to have to, right, Abdi? Because you can't. How many players can you get rid of in one window, realistically?
Probably. It depends on how ambitious you are with it. Your club's rotten, so probably 4 to 5.
Okay, or how many clubs want to buy these players? We keep saying this, don't we? We keep saying, just get rid of everyone. Okay, cool. But you've got to find a buyer. That buyer's going to want to pay them the salary they're on right now. The player's got to agree to that salary or a lesser salary to join. I don't think it's as simple as just transfer list everybody and they'll all go in one summer. So I don't think he's going to have a complete overhaul in one summer. But that's the very reason why I don't think we should be bashing the man.
Right.
Because if Antonio Conte couldn't get this team to stop conceding goals, we can't use that as the stick to beat Postecoglou, can we? If we're saying that Antonio Conte is this awesome elite manager that wins trophies and he can't get them to defend, we can't then say, well, Postecoglou's going to let in goals, so he shouldn't be the manager of Spurs.
No. That wasn't really my point. My point
I know that wasn't your point.
Yeah.
I'm just summarising the fan base.
I mean, to be fair, the North London fan base is just a circus at this point. But relative to what you guys should expect for next season, I'm not sure because the transfer window hasn't even opened yet. And Alan, great point.
Yeah, it is.
And I guess,
Alan Sibley, bang on, big up.
That's
Alan.
true. That's very true.
Good point. I guess my only real concern is not necessarily Postecoglou. It's more the recruitment because your recruitment record has been a disgrace.
Of course.
So Wolves, I guess I'm not going to be, if I'm a Tottenham fan, thank God I'm not. My concern won't be Postecoglou's managerial skills. It'll be more his talent identification.
Yeah. Which he's done a pretty good job at Celtic. He's not just recruited players from Asia too. Switzerland, Netherlands. I think
Furuhashi, Rio Hatate, they've been positives at Celtic.
Oh yeah.
I just think it all depends on what we're going to judge the man against. I think whether it's Postecoglou, whether it's Jurgen Klopp, whether it's Pep Guardiola, Sir Alex Ferguson, whoever takes this job, this is a huge amount of work to do. This isn't joining a club where you can add 3 or 4 players and we go, right, we're good to go. This needs a whole clear out of 20 odd players over a couple of years, 20 odd new players coming in over a couple of years. You got Harry Kane, we don't know. Real Madrid come calling, what do you do? You've got Kulusevski, who isn't technically a Spurs player yet. You've got Hugo Lloris, who's telling us, I want to leave. So you need a goalkeeper. You've got Romero as the only decent defender. You've had your issues with him. Our best centre midfielder is injured until he's not back until December, January. There are so many issues at this football club. You've got no pathway from the youth to the first team. We've got no director of football at the moment. We've got no history of bringing in good signings in the last 5, 6, 7 years. So fans need to take a little step back and say, right, let's just go back to basics. Let's get in a man manager that will go, right, where do we start? Because the problem is, if you bring in a Jose, you bring in a Conte, immediately fans that aren't that bright, I'll just say it, equate brilliant manager, win things. And unfortunately, brilliant managers win things, but there's a third section over here, top players, right? Pep Guardiola is winning things. Yeah, he's a brilliant manager. He has top players. Yeah? These clubs have top players, the clubs that challenge. And our fans just can't seem to get that. I mean, Lewis, as the youngest one of our Spurs fans, what do you make of Postecoglou coming in? How are you feeling?
I don't mind him. If it's a good person that can actually help us win trophies and actually let me see some silverware, I really don't mind him at all. I don't care who we get, but as long as they're actually decent and can do the job. But like even Conte can do the job. I think it's just Tottenham. I don't think it's the managers. I think it's just the Tottenham squad. I think it's
agree
just the
with
Tottenham
you.
squad.
I agree with you. I mean, do you believe that the success he's had at Scotland, I mean, people can say anyone can have that success. I don't believe we're buying his success. I don't believe we're hiring him because he's won a treble. I believe we're hiring because of his man management skills. Everyone talks really well of this guy, other than fans who have no idea about any other leagues other than England. Everyone talks really well about Ange Postecoglou. do you think our players, Lewis, could really do with that? You know, a real man-to-man manager that hasn't got an ego, that isn't going to be expecting the world, but can get them playing on some level.
Yeah, the players, I really hope they can. I think they do need a kickstart. These players, they need to be fresh with a new manager that can actually do the job. But yeah, I think Postecoglou is good. I think I've seen him manage before. His team is brilliant, and I really hope if he comes to Tottenham, which I want him to, he will do the same for Tottenham as well. But it doesn't really happen at Tottenham, though, does it? Everything goes downhill. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Savva's deluded fan. He has no hope in his team, and he doesn't think we can hire top managers, which show he ain't a fan.
No.
He want trophy, but this Savva guy is the opposite. I mean, dude, if you're gonna listen, first rule of it, right? If you're gonna come at me, at least have some English. At least be able to write a sentence coherently. Postecoglou manager. Dude, listen, message me, send me an email. Send me an email. I'll send you some money so you can get some lessons to actually elegantly say what you're trying to say, you fool. Guys, I am going to ask politely, I'm going to say that I'm going to say goodbye to you all and bring on the next lot of people. Thank you for coming on. If anyone is offended by the way I call out trolls, I apologize. It's just what I do. Just so you know,
keep up the good work.
When he says Savva, he wants trophies, this Savva guy. Anyone who listens to me will tell you trophies are the furthest thing from my mind at the moment.
Right.
How about getting a back four that can defend corners basics? Defend corners.
Hey, just ignore those comments. They just look for a reaction. So.
Yeah, I know, but it's good fun, right? It's good fun.
Yeah,
it's
of course.
We're here for, right?
Yeah.
It's good fun. And, you know, when people are telling me I'm not a fan, I've traveled around the world over the last 40 years, spent God knows how much on this football club. And I've got a YouTube channel dedicated to Tottenham. Real fake fan. Guys and girls. I know, terrible fan, me. Terrible fan. Yeah. You know, thank you so much, guys. I am going to get the next lot of people in.
Thanks you very
for coming
much.
on.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you all. See you later, guys.
See you later. Thank you.
Let's add to the stream. We have got, who have we got here? We have got Tottenham Forever 2300. None of you have got a real name. This is brilliant. I don't know what I'll call you, but sod it, we'll go for it anyway.
You know what? You call me by my first name, Ryan. It's easier, Savva, mate.
Okay, cool. We'll go with Ryan Minerals. We all know you, Minerals. And Central Man Network Road to 1K subs. Have you got a real name, or am I just calling you Central Man?
Yeah, you can call me Central Man.
Cool. I love it. I sound like I'm part of a cult, like a gang. I like that. It's really, really good. Guys and girls, let me start with you, Ryan. How do you see it? How do you see where we are at the moment? What's going on? Why the negativity towards this guy?
Do you know what? I'm on the fence with Postel. I'll just call him Arnie because I can't say his last name.
Sure, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. I've got an alternative to Postecoglou for Arnie. Instead, I was thinking more of the Brighton manager.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If you're De Zerbi, by the way, for all these people, by the way, who was offered De Zerbi's job before De Zerbi? Anyone? Postecoglou was offered the job. So Brighton, who get all their scouting right, all their managerial appointments right, offered the job to Postecoglou and he turned it down. So he's all right for Brighton, but he's not all right for Tottenham Hotspur. And Brighton have just finished above us and are in Europe. So, but go on. Do you think De Zerbi would have come? Really?
Do you know what? I probably think he would have actually, because he plays the same because he plays a bit different, but he plays more on the front foot than he does sit back. So he plays a bit more like Arnie. But I think it might be just me being a bit naive here because I don't really know too much about him. And it just worries me that if you don't know someone, then it could be a risk. Do you know what I mean? Okay, we know a bit more about De Zerbi than we do know about Arnie. And that's the only reason why I would have said have De Zerbi instead of Arnie, personally. But that's just a personal opinion.
Yeah, do you know what? Listen, I would love De Zerbi at this club. I just don't think we've got anything to attract him to this club. If you look at what he's got going on at Brighton, right? They play his style of football. They've got the players that can play it. They're well organised. They know the signings they're going to make as they come into the summer. They lose players and replace them with excellent scouting. They're in Europe. They finished above us. Why would he leave that for Tottenham Hotspur when we're a complete shambles?
Well, we might be a complete shambles, but we are a bigger club.
We are, but why would he leave them for us right now? We're a bigger club on name, but why would he look at the work he'd have to do to come to Tottenham from the work he's put in at Brighton this year? I'm just throwing out this. I don't know. I'm just Minerals. What do you reckon? De Zerbi would have come to Tottenham and left Brighton?
No, man, because you guys are in the woods. Like you're far in the woods. Like because Brighton is building something here, doesn't get undermined by Levy and stuff like that, and he gets to build this team, and he's got them to Europe for the first time, in their history. So he wouldn't go to use, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the thing. Do you know what? I think a lot of people. By the way, guys, if we're going to put football opinions in, let's put football opinions in. Ben, I am going to block you because you keep coming on talking about how fat the guy is. First and foremost, his weight has got nothing to do with absolutely anything. Second of all, you're showing your age. Third of all, listen, I'm not the skinniest person in the world. I'm not as skinny as I used to be. Postecoglou's a 57-year-old man. He doesn't need to be all skin and bones. You've got to grow up. So this is your last chance. I will block you if we get any more silly comments. Minerals, let's face it. At Brighton, De Zerbi's got what he needs, right? He's got scouts that sign the players he wants. He's got players that know his tactics. They've gone out and been decisive. They've already signed 3 players for this window, and the window's not even open. At the moment, I'm going to say it. This will piss a lot of Spurs fans off, but people like Phil will know that I'm not adverse to doing that. They're a better option than Tottenham Hotspur right now, aren't they? Brighton Hove Albion.
Of course, indeed, they are. They are better than news, and I think most of the chat will agree. They let the manager and the footballing men do the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Central Road Man on the road to 1K subs. Go out and subscribe, man. Show some love, everybody. What do you make of this? Postecoglou's getting a lot of stick. He hasn't even signed a contract, and already our fan base has turned on this guy as though like, what makes me laugh is we're turning on this guy, but when we had someone like Dele Alli who downed tools for 3 years, we didn't stop sticking up for him. You know, do you know what I mean? Like, how can we be on this guy's back already?
Give him time. He's just like Postecoglou. I think that's I can't really pronounce his surname, but
that's it. Yep.
I think he's one. Yeah, this is like probably his first job in a big league. Like they want De Zerbi, why want it's too early for De Zerbi, man. He's just got to the Premier League. If he potential one day if De Zerbi takes the Tottenham job and it's failed on him, it's gonna ruin his career. With Postecoglou, I think he's not like a known manager. He's starting to gain some respect in Scotland. And then I think I done my research on this guy. He's won a league title. He guided the Australian national team to their first major tournament. That is the Asia Cup in 2015.
Yeah.
I think he's won. I think he had a run. He had spells in Japan. I think this is a bit of a gamble for Spurs. I rather they could just got like Thomas Frank, to be honest. Like, he's already done it in the league with Brentford. But Postecoglou, I think to me personally, if you want to build, like, if Tottenham wants to like build a good team, you need to build from the back. Like the only like one player in that back for Spurs, it has to be Romero, and you can say Reguilon and Jed Spence. I think they need more pieces in the jigsaw, to build a great team. I think it's not going to happen one summer. It's going to probably take the next January transfer window and the next summer. It's going to take time. It's not. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Of course it is. Phil, just before I bring you in, my man, let me just quickly say, first of all, thanks, Steve, for becoming a channel member. Oh, I feel like I'm echoing somewhere. Can anyone hear that? We good? Thanks, Steve, for becoming a channel member. Much love, and thanks for all your support the other night on the 24-hour stream. It was very good fun. Shafay Sajjad said, having a manager with connections in Scotland, Australia, and Japan can't be a bad thing. Might do wonders for potential low-cost young signings. Absolutely. And Santu, big up, has said the trolls are out in full force today. Yes, they are. The trolls are everywhere. I don't mind the trolls, but I'd prefer they come on and debate like men and have a chat, but they won't. Phil, lots of talk about, well, he's not done it in the Premier League before, but I'm just going to chuck a few names of people that had never managed before or managed in the Premier League before that have done well. So to ask you why does Postecoglou have to? So Arteta never managed before, and now everyone's creaming over Arteta at Arsenal.
Wenger too.
Are saying, people are saying that man should be in the conversation for Manager of the Year for keeping Bournemouth up. Never managed before. De Zerbi, I remember when he went to Brighton, people were going, who? The same people that don't watch any other leagues. Who? Now everyone wants him as manager. Arsene Wenger came from Japan. Right. You could go all day long with these scenarios. Why is it important that Postecoglou's managed in the Premiership?
Yeah. Firstly, big up on the charity stream. Savva did a great job, mate.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
So yeah, on to Postecoglou. I think there's been numerous managers that have come into the Prem and they're unknown. And they've done a good job. Look at De Zerbi. He come from the Italian league, lower league team, and he's doing wonders at Brighton at the minute. So with Postecoglou, I think he's the type of manager we need at this moment in time. I think he's a great man manager. I think he can unite this team, which it does need uniting at the minute, because I think there's disruption in the team at the minute. So I think he could get that together, and the fan base as well. I think he's good at uniting the fan base. But with his attacking football, this is what we need at the moment. We need some flowing attacking football, and I think it'd be perfect at this moment in time to come into the club.
Yeah. Where do you stand then, Phil, on De Zerbi? Like, people are saying De Zerbi as though I wouldn't want him. I'd love De Zerbi at Tottenham.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
I just truly believe that if anyone went up to De Zerbi now and said, hey, do you fancy the Spurs job? He might take a look over and go, nah, you're all right. I've got a team here that play brilliant football. They all run through brick walls for me. We've got great scouting. The chairman backs me. I can't see the pro for.
Why would he want to start from the bottom and build that up again? Do you know what I mean? Right. Where he's got a team where he wants them right now. It doesn't make sense. So, I firmly believe Postecoglou can do a type of a De Zerbi job, but there is a lot of work to be done, and this isn't going to be done in a year's time. This isn't going to be done in one window. This is going to be 2, 3, 4 maybe windows to get this team where we want them to be. This is going to be a process, and we all need to be patient as Tottenham fans and let him do his job.
Yeah, I truly agree. I truly agree. I genuinely think when I'm seeing people say a minimum has to be 5th or 6th, I truly believe that we're not actually looking at what the other clubs around us are doing, Phil. In terms of, as we said, the top 4 this season will all be there or thereabouts next year. They're all going to spend money. Already, they're all starting to spend money. Eddie Howe was even, for as calm and collected as Eddie Howe is, he's even started to drop into his press conferences that they're going to look at marquee signings, right? Now, that's an alien world for Tottenham. We don't make marquee signings, right? So they're doing that. Man City will do what Man City do. Chelsea will sign players. Chelsea will. They will.
Liverpool will be back as well. Definitely.
Liverpool are signing McAllister this week.
Yeah.
You've got Arsenal that are talking about players like Declan Rice. So when fans say top 6, I think they need to just go, hang on, let's take a step back. Why is it hard for those fans to take a step back? And I'll come to you in a second, Stefan.
I know, man.
I think it's because we haven't been successful as such. We've got into that top 4 bracket, in the last 8 years, 7-8 years, and we've fallen so far away from that I think a lot of fans still think we're at that level, and they don't want to admit we're at that level. But a lot of the Spurs fans need to be brought back down to earth and realise where we are as a club at the moment. I want us to be, challenging for trophies, getting into top 4, but at this moment in time, we're so far away from that. It's untrue.
Yeah, it is indeed. Sorry, just quickly before I come to you, Stefan, Minerals, you were going to say why fans can't accept where we are right now?
Yeah, no, because they've been used to getting that top 4. Do you know what I mean? And considering last season, you picked Arsenal to it and stuff like that, and the constant narratives that they get fed by the PR of the club, and naturally they feed into it, of like getting top 4 or you're sacked, and it's been built up by Daniel Levy and Savva. Can I call out a bit here? What I was saying is, when you have, I don't like using this word, you ban me, but when you have brown envelopes and wrong ends that are sellouts and get handed out payments, this is what happens. They allow Levy to get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we've talked about this before, Minerals. I don't do the whole brown envelope conversation on here because I'm a 40-year-old man. I don't buy into all this nonsense. No offense, all this brown envelope and all that. What are you talking about? Please explain to me once and for all. What is this nonsense you talk about? Brown envelopes. What is this?
Brown envelopes are sellouts. You know what I mean? They're sellouts.
Why is it brown envelopes? What am I missing?
Because they get handed out through an envelope, a paper by Levy and etc. Do you know what I mean? Like most clubs even do, and he gives them to that. Do you know what I mean? Even Arsenal, City pay fans to feed a certain narrative for the PR. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you mean. No, I'm going to be really honest. I don't know. I'll be honest. Every time I see it being talked about, I just think, what is going on? What I will say really, really quickly is it has actually now been confirmed by, I'm sure you can all see that there, by Fabrizio Romano, who has just confirmed that Ange Postecoglou will become the new Tottenham head coach. Here we go. The agreement on a 2-year deal plus an option for a further season has been reached. Green light on the final clauses. Time to seal the compensation documents with Celtic, then official.
Is there a compensation package with that? Is there, Savva, or is that?
I'm guessing there must be, right?
Supposedly they were saying. Yes, supposedly they were saying in Scotland it's going to be like around $10 million for them to release, because Leicester paid $9 million for Brendan Rodgers, even though he was on a very similar rolling contract. So for them to release him and his staff, who are on longer term deals than Ange, it's going to be around 10 to 11 million. So again, he's not coming cheap and free. As to what,
because you basically
where was the problem or the hiccup in the Arnie Slot deal, where there was 15 million pounds?
No, not 15.
With staff and him.
Feyenoord wanted 25 million because of the fact that there was no release clause, and he had 2 more years on his deal, and Feyenoord were like, we're in the Champions League, we have money, so if you wanna take him, yeah, you can take him, but we're gonna decide how much money in terms of that's gonna cost you. If you had waited for the next year, his release clause I think was 6 million euros from what I read, but this summer there was no clause, so that's why it was super expensive. It was the same with the it was the same with the Sporting coach. The Sporting coach, from what I read, was like 30 million euros. Ridiculous, like ridiculous.
It's because, and also Slot didn't want to leave Sav. That's the thing too.
No, he used Spurs as like as leverage to get a much bigger deal and probably a much bigger transfer budget. Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we're all making assumptions that we know 100% what happened with Slot. I mean, Slot and his people have come out and said there was never an offer on the table from Tottenham Hotspur.
That's true.
And if that's the case, then I feel like when we're all bashing Levy over the head for not getting Slot over the line, if he didn't, if as I always say, when we're talking about buying players, bringing in new managers, the first call is always to the agent. Hey, is Slot open to coming Spurs? Well, he might be, but we want to see what Feyenoord think first because we want to continue with the Champions League run. We don't know, right?
No, yeah. Yeah. So sorry to interrupt you, Sal, but supposedly, from what I read, it was Slot got annoyed at the fact that if you really wanted me, you would, you would pay the release clause. If you're really that high on me, you would pay that release clause. And so he basically kind of saw that they weren't. And
how do you know this? How do you know this? You're saying this with such certainty as though you know Arnie Slot.
No, because the reports came out from the English-based journalists, the most reliable Spurs ones, which are Alistair Gold and Jack. What was his name from the Athletic?
Eccleshare.
No, not.
Oh, that's Charlie. Hang on.
Jack Pitbrook.
But this is the same Alistair Gold that told us last summer that Paratici had a list of about 10 defenders, named them, said we would be buying 2 off that list, and then we ended up with Longley on loan. So,
yeah, but Savva, he also put in that Conte was extremely specific that he only wanted Bastoni and he would be willing to wait until the summer. I remember that.
Hang on. If we're going to take the word of people like Alistair Gold verbatim for what is actually happening at this football club,
he's reliable.
No, he's not. Reliable with what?
With Spurs stuff, he is. Come on, Stav. He is reliable.
I've not seen Alistair Gold tell me anything I don't already know. Alistair Gold last summer came out, and I remember specifically we did a show on it, and the post was, here are the 8 players that Paratici is looking at for centre-half, right? Spurs are going to sign 2 of these 8 players. There was Guehi, there was Kim Min-jae, there was Joachim Anderson of Crystal Palace. There was all of these players on this list. All of them.
Yeah,
the only one who I think is closest to being reliable is Romano.
Romano and what's his face? Ornstein.
Ornstein as well. Yeah,
but guys,
very few.
Yeah, there's a trend. I don't know if you've noticed, with every single club, they always use that one journalist that they use for kind of. You can tell that the club leaks to him purposefully. Like
no, I don't buy it.
Alistair Gold for Spurs, it's Alistair Gold or Jack Pitbrook, because some of the articles that Jack Pitbrook writes, it's like as if the Spurs PR team, like for example, I remember there was one ridiculous article where he wrote that other sporting directors were calling Paratici to congratulate him on the signing of Pape Matar. Like that was definitely told to him by some like high up executive with the Spurs. With Arsenal, it's Ornstein. It's always been Ornstein. Arsenal, it's always Ornstein. The moment that Ornstein releases stuff from Arsenal that we're interested in a player, it is pretty much guaranteed. And
I'm sorry, Stephen. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been doing this YouTube game for a long time. I have seen so many things that Alistair Gold has said, and there's never anything to it. Alistair Gold said that Fonseca was going to be a done deal for Spurs.
It wasn't. No, but it was.
Hang on. And it was until it wasn't, right?
Yep. Yeah, but they were pretty much, it was on the final, on the finish line, and Paratici said no. That everybody reported this, including Romano too. So
even Romano, like things went wrong with the negotiations. That's what Steph is trying to say. So.
Yes. I just feel like we're taking reports verbatim here. Like Slot and his team are coming out and saying there was never an offer on the table. There was never an offer on the table. So when we're saying, oh, Slot turned us down, Slot didn't turn us down. There wasn't an offer on the table. When we're saying Levy wouldn't pay the 15, 20 million to get him out of the club, well, if Slot didn't want to come, it's the same thing with Nagelsmann. People just saying, get Nagelsmann. Well, hang on. If Nagelsmann don't want to join Tottenham Hotspur, it doesn't matter if Daniel Levy puts up £100 million. If Nagelsmann does not want to join this club, and this is going back to Bastoni, right? We talked about this the other day. It's all well and good, Antonio Conte saying, I only want Bastoni. Bastoni's not joining Tottenham Hotspur, ladies and gentlemen. What a terrible, if that's, sorry, I'm going to say it, what terrible management. I don't believe he said this, by the way. What terrible management if you go, I want this one centre-half, no one else in world football, when your options are Eric Dyer, Sanchez, Tanganga. Surely, come on, guys and girls. You can't just want Bastoni.
Bastoni's elite, though. That's why you wanted him. Bastoni is the minerals general. That's why Conte wanted him.
Right. Let's have a conversation where we don't talk about minerals general. Minerals, we've had this conversation before. I don't want my show turning into slang about minerals and brown envelopes. It don't mean anything to me. I'm having proper football conversations, right? I asked the question, minerals.
Bastoni's very good.
Right. Yes, Bastoni's very good. But do you think if Bastoni was on the transfer market, you think we're his number one choice? Tottenham Hotspur?
But Conte, he has a way to the big pool. But Levy didn't try and get him, though. That's the thing.
How do you?
You also have to remember, although I completely agree with this is a total mismanagement of the actual situation with Bastoni. Don't get me wrong. Klopp did that with Van Dijk. He said, I don't want any other defender apart from Van Dijk. They got accused. They got accused by Southampton in the summer that they tapped him up. They even got I don't remember if they got fined or charged. And then in January they sold Coutinho and bought him. It's the same. Right. It's no. Fluid.
Stefan, then you don't know anything about Spurs. Then we are not Liverpool.
Okay, but
hang on. We can say Liverpool done it. Liverpool have got one of the best reputations in world football.
But they weren't. Right? But they weren't Liverpool. The Liverpool that you now call
they're
Liverpool.
Always Liverpool.
No,
they're always. Yeah, Stefan. Listen, Liverpool Football Club could finish 15th. In that summer, they would still attract top players because they are Liverpool, and Liverpool don't stay down there for long, right?
Well, that's not okay. Well,
Tottenham Hotspur can't attract Bastoni. This whole thing, like minerals, you just said we didn't go for Bastoni. Bastoni's agent told us he does not want to leave Inter Milan. What do you think we can do to get him?
I completely agree with you. That
pay up and show that he backs Conte, a guy that got you that top floor.
Right. That's not the question I asked. Minerals, listen to the question I'm asking you.
Yes.
His agent said he does not want to leave Inter Milan. Right? We could have offered Inter Milan £80 million for this player. The player does not want to leave Inter Milan and does not want to come to Tottenham Hotspur. Tell me how Daniel Levy's meant to get that player to Tottenham Hotspur.
By paying the right price, because every club has the right price, don't they?
You're not listening to what you've not answered my question again, Minerals. You're not answering my question. I don't care about the transfer fee. If the player does not want to join Tottenham Hotspur, tell me how we get him out the club.
You need to have a plan B. That's your point, and you didn't.
That's my point.
And you did. So, yes, but what I'm trying to but Sav, what I'm trying to give you as an example is that football sometimes is fluid. You need to take, for example, I'll give you one example. Arsenal in the summer were super interested in last summer in Yuri Tillemans. Everybody was saying that if we don't sign him in the summer, we would wait for him to be on a free and then sign him for sure. However, as we progressed much quicker than we actually expected, suddenly our targets and the players that we could potentially get now were better than Yuri Tillemans. That's why now everybody is linking us to Declan Rice. If you had told Arsenal fans that they had the opportunity to sign Declan Rice last summer, everybody would have laughed at you. Now everybody's saying that we're favorites, and he really wants to
get
come.
it. I get that. I'm not disputing that. But what's that got to do with why Bastoni would have joined Tottenham?
You guys risk sometimes that risk that you take with your like that we did, for example, with the players. Sometimes it can backfire. Sometimes you could say, we love Bastoni. We're going to be in a better place next summer. Inter aren't going to get to the final of the Champions League and will continue to have financial problems.
Okay,
so we will try and get him. And his contract.
Okay, so if you truly believe, do you believe, Stefan, that Conte said that? Do you believe that? Who on this panel, out of the 6 of us, who believes that Conte turned around and said, you know what, Paratici and Levy, if I can't have Bastoni, I'm happy with Dyer, Davis, Longley, and Sanchez.
I don't think there's anything.
Who truly believes that?
I don't think there's anything.
No.
I don't think it was anything to do with that. I think it was purely down to Bastoni's love of Inter Milan, and I think he just wanted to stay there. He was comfortable there, and he wasn't 100% committed to going to Tottenham, and that's all it was down to. From my point of view,
This is what the big clubs do. Like you see. Remember Man United when they got Andy Cole, they got him from Newcastle. He didn't want to leave. Bam, bullied them. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's Manchester United, one of the biggest football clubs in the world, who were winning Premier League titles year after year. Again, give me an example. When has a club like Tottenham Hotspur gone out and gone, right, Bastoni, would you like to leave the boyhood club that you've joined, to join Tottenham Hotspur?
They haven't really, because of Levy's poor model. You know what I mean?
But Minerals, you're not making sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. You keep putting this on Levy. You've been on with Stel, and I get it. And they're going to talk about Levy out all the time, and I agree with Stel. Levy out. Stel was on my show last night. I get it. Levy out. But this isn't on Levy. We cannot attract Bastonis. This is ridiculous. My name is not Stel, right? My name is not Stel. I love Stel, but my name is not Stel. My name is Savva, right? No one's answering my question.
No. But what you're doing, I think, is you're looking at it too kind of. Who's noise? Yeah, stop.
Bit of background noise.
Sorry, there's a lot of noise somewhere.
Yeah, it's not from me. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I honestly think that what you're doing is you're looking at the situation too black and white. So from in my opinion, and you can hear it from Conte's early press conferences last year, I remember, where he said that we need to be careful with the big transfer specific because we made too many mistakes. I honestly do believe of how stubborn Conte is that he did. Maybe they should have, Paratici as a sporting director should have the actual responsibility to have a plan B and sign. But I really do believe, because knowing Conte and reading about him, that he said, I only want Bastoni because I've coached him. He's played in my system. I don't want anybody else in this system. Right. And if we don't get him, I don't want us to spend 50 or 60 million on a defender that I am unsure of that I can coach. I am sure of Bastoni.
Okay. So let's assume this is true. So let's assume this is true then, Stefan. Let's assume in this fantasy land that we're living in, that Antonio Conte, who's picked up a bunch of centre-backs in the ilk of Joe Rodon, Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, Ben Davis, Japhet Tanganga. When you look at those, we think that he's gone there and gone, right, the only player I will accept is Bastoni. Forgetting the fact that he didn't need just one centre-back, he needed two. So we're now assuming that he would only take one centre-back. Now, I may not like Antonio Conte's style of play. I may not have wanted him at Spurs, but I give the man a lot more credit than thinking that Conte has gone, this is the only centre-back in world football I will take, right? Because if he's doing that, Stefan, then that makes him stupid. Because Spurs needed 2 to 3 centre-halves. Spurs, guys, help me agree here. Spurs still need 2 to 3 centre-halves at this club.
I completely agree, Sal, but if you look at his history, of transaction, just look at where he was. Go back to where Conte. So Conte, for example, at Chelsea, really wanted Danny Drinkwater. Really wanted him. They bought Danny Drinkwater for him. He never played him. Conte wanted Zappacosta they bought him for 30 million, never played. He has a history where Conte really wants the player, but then he absolutely the biggest example actually is Juventus. Conte wanted an all-out superstar center forward. They signed, paying his release cost from Napoli, Gonzalo Higuain. They signed 75 million. They paid fully. Everybody thought it was outrageously overpriced. Even though he was the top goal scorer of Serie A then. They signed him. Conte barely played him, Savva. So
what's this got to do with anything?
Conte didn't manage. Conte didn't manage Higuain.
I'm just telling you that Conte is extremely stubborn. This is an example of how even that I really do believe that they went to him and they said and like when you're saying but Conte has a number of players that were kind of utility players that he played like the Ben Davis or the Ashley Youngs. Yes, but Conte in every single team has a spine where he has one marquee defender, one marquee midfielder, and a number 9.
You're giving me a history lesson of Conte, which I know. My point is, Spurs are not Chelsea. We are not Liverpool. We are not Manchester United. We are not Inter Milan or Juventus. So again, my whole point was that when there was no point to Conte being here is because all these things that people keep telling me he's done in his career don't happen at Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Phil, you know me. We're in multiple WhatsApp groups together, Phil. You know, I would love Spurs to go and buy Bastoni, Vardial, Declan Rice, Ugarte.
You also wanted Skriniar, by the way. I saw an article. So
these players don't want to join Tottenham Hotspur. I don't know how much we have to witness before we realise.
I saw that article from One Football. So you just mudded yourself.
No,
say that again. Say that again, Minerals.
Minerals. He wanted to come. Skriniar wanted to come.
Hang on. I didn't know what he said. I didn't hear what he said. What did you say? Skriniar what?
Skriniar could have been an option for Spurs. He was cheap, so you don't have that excuse too. And you don't want to extend it.
He wasn't cheap. And
when are we talking, Minerals? Give me a year. When are we talking?
Now.
This year,
this year. Okay, let me ask you a question, Minerals. Let me ask you a question. Again, listen, if you're going to come on my show and say I'm muddied, listen, you're going to get bantered off this very quickly because my football knowledge compared to yours is superior, my friend. Where did he end up this summer?
PSG.
He's not PSG though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's gonna be announced once his deal runs out at the end of June, like every free transfer.
Minerals. He's joined PSG. Do I need?
Yeah,
Tottenham, PSG. Yeah. Are you kidding me, Minerals? What don't you get about it?
No, but not only that, he's getting paid.
I know PSG are better than Spurs, but I'm just trying to make a point.
What point are you making? What point are you making?
Well, he was one of the options that Conte wanted.
Right. Okay. So, Minerals, let me ask you a question. And this is where football has changed, right? Honestly, the sense has come out of football. And Minerals, you are one of the prime people for this. You don't get context. PSG or Tottenham Hotspur, where are you going?
Of course, PSG, because you lot are in the mud.
But you've just what? Then you've just answered your own question.
No, but you had Conte though, and Conte wanted him, which is why you had to back him. And when he's back,
oh my god!
Conte alone isn't enough of a pull to bring Skriniar to this club. You know, it's not just all about. You know, it's not just all about the manager, a top-class manager at a club. It's about, you know, what state of the club is in, where they are as a club, and you know the quality that we're at, what level we're at this moment in time. And we need to be going for players that are upcoming. You know, like Brighton do, like buying the Matomas, McAllisters, players like that. That's the route we need to go down. We aren't gonna attract these sort of players. I
can't believe it. Let me bring in. I'm going to bring in Mia for a second. But listen, Minerals. What I will say is, dude, you chat a big game. I like it. Yeah, you've got a lot of chest with absolutely nothing to back it up with. So I like.
I always have articles and facts to back here. I always use the stats and this, that, and the other, man.
No, dude, listen. I'm going to tell you what you've just done, right? And I think everyone, 353 people plus on here, have just watched you do this, right? You have just said this, Savva. I said no top player would join us. You said Savva. Skriniar was on a free, so you're in the mud. I said, okay, he's joined PSG. Would you join PSG or Tottenham? You said PSG every time. I said, right, okay. But then you backtrack and say, yeah, but you had Conte and he joined Conte. Do you truly believe that a Bastoni or a Skriniar would look at Tottenham and go, look at all those bad players, all those years of not winning anything, but Conte's there, a manager who has a history of being somewhere for 18 months and leaving, and a manager who at the time had 1 year left on his contract? You think that club, that player, is going to choose Tottenham Hotspur?
But in the summer, maybe. Listen, in the summer, maybe. The summer, maybe that particular time when you guys were in that so-called high. But as you know, things change when you know how Levy like undermines the manager. You know what I mean?
I've got no idea what you're talking about.
I can't
Please tell me.
This conversation again, honestly. I can't believe it. I just can't. I'm like, what is going on? I feel like we're on replay, man. Like, honestly, we've had this
Mia, it's moved. It's moved from Bastoni to Skriniar, but the same rule applies. I've got Minerals telling me that we should have signed Skriniar when PSG bid for him last summer, in case you didn't know, Minerals. Right? And they were rejected. Then in January, did you know this, Minerals?
Well, I knew, blood. I watch football.
Right, okay. So last summer, PSG bid for Milan Skriniar. Inter Milan turned down the bid, right? We all agree on that. So when it got to January and he could sign for someone on a free in the summer, funnily enough, guess who he signed for? And you think Spurs should have gone in and gone, hey, don't go and play with Mbappe and Neymar. Come over here. Come and play with Dyer and Sanchez.
You have to do what Conte wants then, because he's the manager, elite winner.
You can't make players come to your team. You cannot make them. You can't force a player to come to your team. I'm not talking no waffle. You've got your double A chest and you're trying to stick it out like you've got big ones, but you don't.
Yeah, like, Minerals, you're being muddied, man.
I'm not muddled, bro. Talk some shit. Let's have it right, man. Up the Minerals FC. Let's have it right, man.
Minerals, you may call yourself Minerals FC, but you chat the most amount of waffle I've ever heard, ever. Do you know what? I've got a picture that is just for you. I used to think it was Alex, but this is you, mate. You live in a Waffle House. Right?
I don't talk waffle, bro. I talk the real Minerals, mate.
Do you know what? The fact you talk about yourself as in you talk the real Minerals, dude, what I would suggest is mature a little bit, understand football, understand where Spurs are in the pecking order. And I'm not going to be rude, but I am going to tell you, you're delusional, my friend. You're delusional.
Savva, can I just add something to that? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it, Ryan. Go for it, mate.
Yeah, basically, yeah, right? Put it like this, Minerals, yeah? Right? Who would Mbappe choose? Us or Madrid? Honestly.
That's got nothing to do. That doesn't have to do with
it's the same talk. It's the same kind of player you're talking about. It's the same kind of player you're talking about. Because if anyone that goes to PSG, they're on the same kind of level as Mbappe and Neymar and Messi. So who would he go to? Us or Madrid? Who would Mbappe go to? Go on, tell me.
Of course, Madrid, but that's not the point, is it?
So then why are you talking so much baloney? Sorry, Savva, I was about to
waffle. Waffle is the word.
I don't talk waffle, bro. I talk the real Minerals, bro. Let's have it right, yeah?
All right. Minerals, before I move on from this conversation, give me 3 reasons, 3 saleable points, without mentioning the word minerals or brown envelopes or whatever you say, 3 reasons why Tottenham go in to negotiate with Skriniar at the same time as PSG and he chooses Tottenham. Give me 3 reasons.
What do you even mean, man? Come on.
I mean, it's quite a simple question. Give me 3 reasons why he would join Tottenham Hotspur above Paris Saint-Germain.
He wouldn't, but But then again, that's not the question. You're just mudding yourself. You're just trying to make.
Oh my!
Do you know what? Do you know what, Middles? I'm going to give you some advice. If someone like me asks you a question like that and your mind comes up blank like it just did, instead of looking like an idiot and trying to rectify yourself, just say, I don't know. Don't keep throwing the word mud like it's big and clever, because everyone on here has just witnessed you get mudded, if that's going to be your terminology, not me. God, do you know what? Half the time I feel about shutting down this YouTube channel because people just don't get it.
I feel sorry for you, Savva, mate.
it is unbelievable. I've got someone arguing that Spurs should have signed Skriniar, and then when I say why would he have joined us instead of PSG, he says they wouldn't, but yet I'm mudded. It is like talking to 8-year-olds. I have no idea what he is talking about.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
8-year-olds, because I've worked with 8-year-olds and they're pretty intelligent, you know.
Oh my God. Red Hill 79. Sorry, I don't know your real name, my friend. How are you? You well?
Hi. How you doing, Chris?
Chris, hey, how you doing? Chris,
yeah, not bad.
Geez, where to go from that? I mean, look, we've got fans that truly believe we can sign Bastoni and Skriniar.
It's not logical.
It isn't, and I know we want to hit Daniel Levy over the head all the time. I get it. I don't want him as manager. Yeah. Everyone knows that. But what I can't do is I can't sit here and hit him over the head for things that are out of his control. I just can't. I can't. Yeah. For me, Chris, last year, what we should have been looking at, and again this year, I'd be looking at the likes of Guehi, Anderson, players like that, Bella Kotchap. You know, these players make more sense for me than a Bastoni and a Skriniar. What do you think?
Well, I think it doesn't go back to last season. I think it goes back, and I get your point, Savva, but I think it goes back a bit like way before to the Champions League final that we lost, right? Yep. Because whenever you get players that are burnt out, right, and possibly the manager as well, okay, you need a renewal. You need to get new players in to revamp, right? And I know that from my playing days, and what I see from other teams as well, right? Because if you renew, you get a different ambiance. You get a new atmosphere in the club, right? Now, if Poch were back, right, and I don't want to go on about Poch like 6,000 years more because I've seen it all and I've heard it all. But I think that was a huge stepping stone that wasn't taken, and we basically fell face first in the mud. Now, if you want to go back to last year, for example, the players that you mentioned, Guehi, Anderson, right? Yeah, Palace have got two good centre halves, right? What's the problem? That I write the word entitled about our fan base because a lot of people are unrealistic about where we are, and we're in slight decline because we're not achieving. We overachieved, right, which is great. We're a historic club, but we're not Liverpool, we're not Man City, we're not, and we're simply not. And we have to realise where we are in life at the moment. If we have to take 2 steps back or a step back to go 3 steps forward, so be it. Right? And that's what I think they're.
Oh, did you go, Chris? You still there? Oh, it looks like we've lost him. Guys, I mean, is this a problem across the board that at some point we have to accept as a fan base where we should be shopping and where we shouldn't? And that's both for managers and for players. Because I keep hearing that, you know, my standards are in the mud. But listen, I just feel I'm a realist. Sorry,
I lost you, Savva, there for a minute.
Yeah, Chris, you went. Don't worry, I'll bring you back in on this next point. Don't worry. We lost you for about a minute. No worries, mate.
My connection.
So as I was saying, guys, are we now confused about where we're buying managers, where we're getting managers from, where we're buying players from? Because as a football fan, I want to see the Declan Rices come to Tottenham. I want to see the Bastonis come to Tottenham and the Lautaro Martinezes. But equally, as a 40-year-old man who's watched Tottenham Hotspur for a very long time, I also know we're not anywhere in the pecking order for those players to want to join us. So is it about time that, as much as we talk about having a master reset at the football club, that our fans have a little master reset with their own identity crisis of what their club is, and we all kind of get on the same page of, right, we need to start again? Anyone can take that. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Anyone can go.
Savva, can I start?
Yeah, go for it.
Basically, yeah, right. It's the obvious saying, yeah, right. We have got over expectate, right. It's a bit like we're Tottenham, right, and it's like we're trying to shop at Waitrose, but we're only meant to be shopping at Tesco's. But then we're overspending. So why are we shopping at Waitrose for when we should only be shopping at Tesco's? It makes no sense. And this is why when people say, especially what Minerals has said, right? And this is why he's comments on money. I'm not trying to have a pop here, but it's just me just saying how I feel it is, right? We're not ever going to get a likes of Bastoni the way that our club is, right? Because it's like you said, we're down here, and the likes of Madrid and everyone else are way up there and up in the sky somewhere. So why are we going to be able to attract and expect a big lot of things from our fan? Why is the fan base going to expect everything, right, to land in our lap? And but that's why I think a reasonable expectation for this season would be a top half finish and either an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup. That's my opinion on that. I'm sorry, but I had to get that out of me first because I knew I was going to lose train of thought. But that's my expectations, and that's what I think we should all have for this season coming up. I'm sorry, but that's my opinion.
I don't think it has anything to do with next season, to be honest. I think it has to do with the coming seasons, right? Because Liverpool, for example, a huge club, huge history, right? Where were they? They weren't doing anything, right? They bet on Jurgen Klopp. He was a loser. He was a serial loser, bar, Pokal in Germany, right?
Yeah.
He was losing to Bayern Munich. He lost the final in wherever it was, right, against Bayern Munich, 2-1 in the UCL final. He was a serial loser, right? And what? So Liverpool, they play the cards. Right, well, here's the money. Here's the investment. We're going to trust you, right? So they went 2 steps back, and now they went 15 steps forward, right? Bar last season. Okay, fine. Yeah. So why can't we do that? Why can't we trust in someone? Okay, but we have to be realistic about it. We can't be delusional. We can't be Man City, right? We can't be Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. We have to be where we need to be, which is perhaps 6th, 7th, 8th for a couple of seasons to build. Yeah. You can't fly if you haven't got any wings. We have to build the wings, like, metaphorically speaking. Do you know what I mean? And that's where we have to be.
I want to come to.
That's my opinion.
I want to come to Dietrich on this just quickly before I do. This comment cracks me up. Peter Simons. Anyone who knows me knows that I would have never have said players like Bastoni would come to Tottenham. Please don't throw that accusation at me. I mean, anyone on here who's watching me last Phil, both the Phils would have seen me last summer saying this ain't happening. And everyone going, oh no, but Ali Gold said it was happening. This ain't happening. We're not signing Bastoni. Dietrich, how are you, my friend? Are you well?
Good, how are you? Can I ask you a quick question? Like just an example. I'm not saying it's the same caliber player.
Yeah,
but
sure.
If you look at Sven Botman, for example, he precisely said, I don't want to join Newcastle, but Newcastle forced and put a bid on the table. And then Leo forced them out. Could we not have done the same thing with Bastoni? I'm not saying they're the same level of players. Not at all.
I think that... Go on, sorry. Go on.
No, if we put a bid like, for example, 70 mil, don't you think maybe Inter Milan would say, Bastoni, you have to leave. We don't have a choice.
No. I think there's a few things when we look at it. If we're comparing Bastoni's situation with Botman's situation, Botman's in France playing for Lille, who, yes, they had that league win a few years ago, but in reality, that's going to happen for them every 20 years, right? They're not a challenging team that are going to keep winning league titles. Second of all, Botman was unproven. He's played in the French league. I know that sounds awful, but he has. He's played in the French league and the French league only, right? and cost £40 million, right? Newcastle can go to Botman and say, hey, look at our new billionaire owners. This is how much money we are going to stick into this club. This is what it looks like now. This is where we're going to be in 12 months, which they've probably surpassed expectations. And that's where we want to be in 2 to 3 years, challenging for titles. Now, equally, the other thing, and this is, sorry, I know Mia heard this all the other day, but for me, the key thing is here, and which we discussed a lot, I think Philly down the bottom, you were on this as well, is we can make Inter Milan accept a bid. I don't think that's the issue. If Inter Milan had said 70, 80 million and Daniel Levy, let's assume Daniel Levy's having a nice day. He wakes up and thinks, I do want to open my wallet. Okay, we put £80 million down on the table. You cannot force a player to move to another country if he does not want to. It's as simple as that. We cannot force him to say, he might say, yeah, you know what? I will leave. I will leave Inter Milan. I will help you, but sell me to a better club. I don't want to go to Tottenham Hotspur. I want to go to Real Madrid. I want to go to Bayern Munich. I want to go to Man City, Liverpool.
Yeah, but we don't know if he actually said, I don't want to join Tottenham. We don't know that.
He said, I don't want to leave. What more do we need?
No, but like saying I don't want to leave and saying I don't want to join Tottenham, like there's a big difference. Like maybe Bayern could come and say I want to buy Bastoni, and he still says I don't want to.
It was more his love for Inter Milan and wanting to be in Inter Milan. That was the whole.
I don't think so. I think that's a crock. I think if Man City wanted to, if they put a bid in for him, he would have gone there straight away in the summer.
For sure.
He would have gone there straight away. Our perspective, our club is not in a good light, mate, at all.
But that's the whole point, Philly, is that if someone like a Man City does it, he wants to go to a Man City because
it's attractive.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So he doesn't want to come to a Tottenham. That's the exact point that me and Savva were making the other day when we spoke about this. If you don't want to come to Tottenham, you cannot make the guy come to Tottenham.
Yeah. It's
I'm going to say something else here, right? We have no plan whatsoever yet. When you look at the Tottenham Hotspurs, right? In business, there's a plan called the smart plan, which is what Sean Butler talks about all the time. We have none of that at Tottenham Hotspurs. We have no timing. We have no transition whatsoever. There's nothing for them to actually buy into. There's nothing tangible at White Hart Lane at the moment.
No plan
right
B.
Now, we need to clean our decks. Our defense here is so bad. Our midfield here has no variation. Our attack here is relying on Harry Kane. If Harry Kane doesn't score here, we don't win, and that's how bad it is.
Yeah, but that's the lack of consistency in having a manager, in having the players to fulfil your plan. You see, and that's through jumping through manager after manager after manager, and bringing in players that suit one manager, and you're kicking a manager out, and those players don't suit the next manager.
Right, okay. So, all right, then. So, Savva asked you a question earlier. If Conte said, I just want Bastoni and that's it, then that just blatantly shows me that Conte was not the manager for Tottenham Hotspurs, because that means your takes were too big for the club. So you should never have been here in the first place.
I said all along that Conte wasn't the right man for Tottenham Hotspur. Because he's a win-now manager with win-now players.
He wasn't, though. Dietrich, he wasn't.
He was.
He wasn't, Dietrich.
Hang on. Sorry, Dietrich, what are you arguing? Go on. Sorry.
No, they were saying like Conte was not the right man for Tottenham, and I disagree. I think he was the right man for Tottenham. It's just, unfortunately, we did not match his ambition.
Dietrich, can I counter that?
Ambition, that means we're not the right club for him, surely.
We were, but like we spent the money. Unfortunately, we did not listen to him.
Hang on. But Dietrich, let me ask this question, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
How can anyone? And this is the thing. Like, I got a lot of stick, and from you as well, Dietrich. I hear you on Tottenham away, slagging me off. Don't worry, I hear it, mate. I'm old and ugly enough. I can take it like a man. It's good. I got so much stick. And the two Phils, you know this, Mia, you probably I get so much stick for me saying for ages, Conte should never have joined this football club. Now, anyone who thinks he was the right pick for Tottenham Hotspur, let's break it down why. And the reason they call it history and evidence is because history and evidence shows you everything you need to know. Antonio Conte has a history of going to clubs that are big clubs, sprinkling a few top players in there and winning, right? He has never had a history of going to a club like Tottenham Hotspur, picking up absolute crap all over the place and going, you know what? I'll be here for 5 years. I will build and mold, and I will take players who are 30, 40 million instead of blah, 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 right? He has no history. He has no history of doing that. So I will say this again. Forget if I like him as a manager or not. I would have taken Antonio Conte as Spurs manager the year we finished second under Poch. The year that we needed a little bit of sprinkling to get over the line, that's when you hire Antonio Conte.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hire him when your defenders are Davinson Sanchez, Eric Dyer, Ben Davis, Emerson Royale, Ryan Sessegnon, Skip, Højbjerg. You don't hire Conte for that. Now, Dietrich, the one thing people always say is, we didn't back him. And these words make me laugh. Back him. Right. You can't just back a manager from nowhere. And what I mean by that is you can't just get a Conte in and go, right, which 4 players do you want? Oh, you want Bastoni at 70 million. Brilliant. You come in. Oh, you want Barella? Go on, you come in. Martinez. Because you have to have an underbelly underneath that. You have to have a plan. You have to have an ethos. You have to have a strategy.
Yes, I agree.
Too many people are talking now when we're talking like everyone's saying, oh, we could have just got Bastoni. This isn't Football Manager. You can't just go and whack down 70, 80 million and we go, yeah, Bastoni's going to look at Tottenham and go, oh, that's attractive. And it will be the same this window. I'm seeing fans say, well, if Arsenal are trying to buy Declan Rice, why don't we?
The thing is, Savva, Conte is a top class manager. He is. He's won trophies everywhere he's gone. Right.
I'm not doubting
so he's gone into a club where it isn't a top class club. It's not a top class club. It's not an elite club. So he needs players to attract to come to Tottenham Hotspur. You know, the Barellas. You know, them sort of players. You know, and it was never ever going to work. Never going to work because he couldn't bring these big name players into Tottenham Hotspur to win trophies, and it was always going to be fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, but Phil, don't you think the club could have learned from Mourinho?
Hold on. Also, don't forget that Conte, always falls out with people and doesn't ever stay very long. That's the two factors.
No, but
Forget.
Mia, you have to think. When he fell out with Chelsea, there was a reason because they bought the wrong players that he never asked for. Same thing at Juve, it ended badly after 3 years, which is fair. But Chelsea, that was not his fault.
Hang on, Dietrich, if he's falling out with Chelsea for not being able to get the right players, and he's falling out with Inter Milan for not being able to keep his top players, what part of any of our fan base thought that was a good match to come and work for Daniel Levy? I don't.
It
is mental, isn't it? That is crazy.
No, for me, I'm not. Before anyone attacks me, I'm not saying like it could have worked with Levy, but we spent the money. The only issue is not on the right players that he wanted, like the top 3. Who did he want? No, let's say he wanted Lautaro Martinez. I'm not saying he's coming to Spurs, but like let's say someone under him, close enough. Let's say.
Can I just say something about that?
I keep hearing this. I keep hearing that we didn't sign the players he wanted. Who are these players he didn't want?
No, I'm
this guy came out at the end of the window, and instead of saying, you know what, I'm not happy, I'm going to walk away, and showing up the owners for how bad they did, he turned around and said, I'm really happy with this window. I've got a good
why
squad.
bottle it? He said in the interview, I've been bottling out for months. So why were you bottling it? Why were you not telling the truth? Tell the truth, you're the same with devil.
Name me one manager that says after a window, I'm not happy. Name me
someone who is not happy enough to say that. Tell the truth, man. If you'd come out and said, you know what, I'm not happy with the window and walks I would have so much more respect for him.
No, Phil, Mourinho said the same thing. He said he was happy, and you could have told he was not happy with the window. He played none of these players.
Sure.
So no manager comes out and says that. That doesn't happen.
Right, Dietrich, I'm going to say this to you, right, the first when my man left that club, when Jose left the club, he left in a decent way because he didn't line out the dirty laundry in public. But Conte, actually did it, blood.
What did he
say?
He
actually put it out there for everyone to see. But really and truly, we should have hired him anyway. You should have learned from Jose Mourinho, that we don't back managers like that. They are too high class for what we have. This is why I said to you, I know my club, mate. I know my limitations of my club. I know my club by heart.
Let me ask Dietrich, so what did you, and by the way, there's someone in the comments who said you're always talking about Conte. I didn't bring up Conte. Dietrich, why was Conte a good match for Tottenham from his history, from our history, from what he needs, from what we provide? How on earth was he a good a good match in any way, shape, or form?
For me, it might sound crazy, but we had some foundations that we could have built under Conte. For example, we had Kane, we had Son, he bought Bentancur, Kulusevski. I'm just saying, like, we were missing like maybe 5 players, top players, like the Bentancur level that we could have done something, but we never did.
So hang on. Let's call this for what it is. Hang on. You've just named 4 players, 2 of which weren't even here when he joined. So when he joined, you're telling me he had Kane and Son, the same as every other manager for the last 8 years.
Yeah, but then he started building something, some foundations.
He didn't start building anything.
No, I'm saying we bought Bentancur, we bought Kulu, we bought Poro. We were helping him, but then this summer we could have added more. And then the next year we could have maybe challenged for like the top 4 and maybe win the FA Cup on the way. That's what I'm saying.
But Conte ended up getting us out of those cups because he didn't make the right choices with the way we played. Like, he didn't play well.
But no manager succeeded.
So
Mia, but no manager though, Mia. And you forgot that same backline was the same as previous seasons. Come on now.
Every manager failed on the cups. Even Mourinho, he's a serial winner and he failed at the FA Cup.
You just said that we can compete for them, but you just said that we're able to compete for them, so you're making no logical sense.
Exactly, because they lost to Middlesbrough and these guys.
No, wait,
Mia. I can't understand. Like,
what did I say?
Logical, what I'm saying.
No, what did I say that was wrong? I just said we could have built something for next year. That's
right, I'm going to say this to you now. Wait a minute, Savva. Yeah, I'm going to say this to you now. Yeah, because I hear you on Tottenham away. Yeah, so I'm going to say this to you now. Yeah, right. Last year, yeah, Stell said, and I quote him, right? If Conte hadn't signed the contract by the World Cup, right, then there was nothing to build. Then he was not going to stay here. By the World Cup, we had the World Cup. Conte never signed the contract. We came into January where we couldn't do anything because no one knew who the manager was going to be. So they didn't want to sign a contract with the club just in case Conte wasn't going to be here. So we came into an indifferent January anyway, because no one wants to sign a contract when you don't know who the manager is. So we had already walked into that situation. Conte was never staying here. He was not going to stay long term. It was 18 months and that was it.
It goes back to, I still don't think we understand where we are as a club. If anyone truly believed deep down, and listen again, forget what I think of Conte. I can not like his management, but still appreciate he's a top manager that wins things. If anyone truly believes that is the manager level we should be bringing into a club that needs a complete build, then I'm really worried. Sorry, go on.
Savva, yeah, thank you. There's a fundamental problem with both Mourinho and Conte, and they are very similar in styles, and some may agree, some may not, with Rafa Benitez, right? Because all of them are serial winners. Benitez, in his own style, but very similar to the two, aforementioned, right? But all have won titles. Now, today, or maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, would anyone have wanted Rafa Benitez sitting on White Hart Lane bench? I think no one would, because of the way he plays, right? That's a fundamental. It would have been a fundamental error to bring Rafa Benitez in, although he's a serial winner as well. He's won at Inter, he's won at Liverpool, wherever, Madrid, whatever. Yeah, I'm riffing. Okay, Spurs are not that kind of club, right? And I'm 44 years old. I've been, even though my good looks and that in the camera, but I'm 44 years old. I've been supporting Spurs since I was 4 years old, right? And I've never ever seen Spurs play that way, right? We're attacking, we're front-footed, we're glittery, we're shiny, we like to impress, and we're not sit on the back foot and wait. And these managers, right, especially Conte and Mourinho, they are wait, sit back, counter-attack, see what happens, right? And I think I'm not wrong in my assessment. Now, the fundamental problem is who has signed these bloody managers, right? Now, is it a glitter balls effect? Like, I'll appease the fans because we're down shit street, okay? And we'll get in these 2 magnificent managers instead of getting in what we really need, or instead of backing what we really need.
Absolutely.
Okay. And that is the problem. Because
that's why I like Postecoglou, because I think Postecoglou, is the first time we've actually got serious about a manager since Pochettino. Finally, we've come down to earth. Because I look at Tottenham here like Moonraker. We've risen up to the stars here, but it's time now that the club goes back to earth and realise who you are. You are Tottenham Hotspurs here. You're not up there with Liverpool. You're not Manchester City. Yeah, it would like to compete with them, Mans, but we are not them. Our sex appeal is on the floor.
I understand that, but Spurs deserve that respect as well. Okay, because the same as Chelsea were no one, many years ago. They were brought up to be someone, right? Or
we've got a friend on the market to do that. We need to make a statement signing. Yeah, if you're going to do that, right, you make a statement signing.
We're talking about statement signings, right? We should have done that when we were on a high in the Champions League final.
That's right. That's what we said last summer.
That's exactly what I said.
That's where we missed the boat, and that's when we should have done what Dietrich's trying to say with Conte when he was.
I'm not sure if you heard me. Yeah, I'm not sure if you heard me because it blacked out. But that's exactly what I said. Whenever we were on that low, when we came off that high of the Champions League, the final that we lost, unfortunately. Possibly deservedly because Liverpool were, flying. We needed to refresh the squad because it's not that the players have forgotten how to play football, right? Because they're not stupid, and they're on tremendous wages. But you need to refresh that squad. You need to possibly change the manager or back into the hill, bring in new talent, bring in new players that are hungry for, what I mean, and not prolong the downer. You need to, what I mean.
But that's the thing.
That's my opinion.
That's why I'll never criticize Conte, Mourinho, and Poch like all the other managers. The issue still lies at Levy. You back Poch in the Champions League. It was how much? Close to 150 million you spent, and then you sack him 4 months later.
Well, okay, but
Dietrich, I think I agree with you.
The point,
I know.
Dietrich, I agree with this. And as much as you lot try and pretend that I'm not Levy and Enoch out, I've been Levy and Enoch out before some people were probably even born, right?
I never said that.
Right? I've never ever suggested it wasn't Daniel Levy's fault. This is Daniel Levy's fault, but unfortunately we are where we are. But just because it's Daniel Levy's fault doesn't then make it Conte as the right signing. So do I like Conte? No. Did I think he was the right signing? No. Did I, this club, right, finally might have what we need. It might not be what the fans want. It might be divisive.
It could fail as well.
It might have us all rowing and ranting at each other. But we need a manager that comes in where there are no expectations. There are no delusions of grandeur of where we should be rather than where we are.
Yeah.
Let this man have a couple of years, right?
Savva?
Let's get rid of... Right, let's get rid of some of the deadwood, but it's going to be slow. All these people who think 20 players are going out the window in one summer, it's not going to happen. Let's let a few players go out. And if next season, I've said this already, I don't care about finishing in Europe. I don't care about winning a trophy. Next year, I just want to see that we start seeing what looks and resembles like a competent, coherent 11.
Give Postecoglou time to put his own stamp on this team.
Can I ask a question? How can you put a stamp on a team and you give Andre a 2-year contract? Just logically.
But maybe I've said that in comments that maybe he wanted that as well. I mean, he's 57, 58. Maybe he's thinking short term because he wants to go back to Australia.
It's both ways, isn't it?
But that's true.
It's a two-way thing. Maybe
there is an extra year to be able to extend.
Yes, there is, Mia.
Yeah, but it's stupid. It's really stupid.
Yes, but we are anticipating other people's thoughts, and we can't do that. You see,
hang on. Yeah, this is the thing, Dietrich. For me, I keep hearing about this 2-year thing, right? First and foremost, anybody who's ever done any research on Ange Postecoglou knows that he only ever works with 1-year rolling contracts.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've got him away from a 1-year rolling contract and we've got him to 2 years plus a third is good. Second of all, let's be really honest. You can tie this guy up to a 10-year contract. Levy wants to sack you. He's going to sack you. It don't matter whether you're 2 years in, 8 years in.
Savva, can I just ask a question to everyone on the panel then? Right?
Sure.
Because it's actually quite interesting that you said that. Where would we be then in the next 5 years then? Savva, to start off with you, mate. Go on. Where would you like to see us in the next 5 years, basically?
Oh, Jesus. Where would I like to see us? Or Jesus Christ. Look, it all depends on if Daniel Levy finally lets this director of football coming in and this manager actually run the football side of things, the world is your oyster, right? If he doesn't, we'll be exactly where we are now. We'll be floating from a few seasons where we might get 4th and 5th, a few seasons where we might get 8th or 9th, couple of years, like I suspect in the next few years, we might actually have to drop lower than this because I think we need to get worse before we get better. And I think a lot of fans, the moment we drop down into that bottom half, will go, oh my God, it's Ange Postecoglou. When it's not, it's actually years and years of running the club really badly that have actually put us in this position. So for me, where do I see us in 5 years? I just want to see that as a football club, we've got I want us to know that everyone knows what Spurs are, right? Everyone knows right now what Man City are. We know what Brighton are as a football club. We know what Brentford are. These clubs have philosophies. We don't.
Yeah, but I don't understand.
I really think that's where we need to be in 5 years. So all these people thinking of top 4 in the next couple of years, all these people thinking of trophies, guys, we are building from, we're not rebuilding. Rebuild would suggest we're building from something. We're building from scratch. And if that means Kane going, if that means Lloris and Son going, so be it. But we are building from scratch. Put your big boy and big girl pants on and strap in for the next 3 or 4 years.
Just to ask a question on the Kane and Postecoglou coming in and putting his own style on this team, you know, with the high press and stuff. Do you guys think that you know, Kane is suited to his style? Do you think Kane could do that high press? Because in my opinion, you know, I'd love Kane to stay anyway, you know, and I think he's one of the best, if not the best player we've had at this club. But is it the right time to be cashing in on Kane now because of Postecoglou's style of play next year?
No, not at all.
It's tough because Ange has to come in, he has to see what he's working with, right? And if he says, look, now's the time, he doesn't want to work with me because he thinks that I'm a joke, or Harry's not going to think that anyway because he's a pretty respectful guy, I suppose. But I want to move, now's the time, I want to win stuff. Okay, fine, there's 100 million, 80 million, whatever, you know, Spurs are going to accept for him. And he's going to go, how much? 80 million? I can sign you 540 players for that. You know what I mean? You know, seeing what he's done previously, you know, and he's brought in lesser known players for, you know, peanuts, and they've worked for him. I don't care if my striker's, what's his name, Kyogo? I don't care. Because as Savva said before, why would De Zerbi come to Spurs? Because he's, you know, in the meantime, he's got players running through walls for him. I want players who run through walls for Ange. And I don't care if they've cost 1.4 million from Djurgården or if they've come down the road from Carshot and Athletic. Do you know what I mean? As long as they work.
If they're the right players for him.
If they're the right, and exactly. And that's the thing, because we've had brilliant managers and shit players and shit managers and brilliant players. They haven't worked. Well, let this guy work and bring in whatever he needs. And maybe we won't have to wait 5 years to be up there. Maybe we've got 2 or 3 cups under our belts. And do you know what I mean? I'm just saying that we don't know.
Do you know what the other thing is? If he doesn't want to sign, why build around Kane for a year and have Postecoglou maybe have to change slightly what he does because of Kane, then just have to change it again when Kane goes? It's
a clean break. That's my point. That's my point. Does it disrupt Postecoglou's way of thinking of how he wants to set up this team in the next year or so? You know, is that going to be disruptive for him? You know, to put his own style on the team.
Only he knows, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe I mean, because he seems like quite a cunning guy. Do you know what I mean? And he's not been around for 2 days like a lot of people think. And he probably, you know, put his arm around Harry and think, look, mate, you're going to be here another 5 years. I can promise that. You know, and Harry's going to think, what's this guy on? And as soon as he starts training and sticking the ball in the back of the net 60 times every training session, he's going to think, Jesus, you know, this guy
I've said all along, Chris. I've said all along, and Spurs fans don't want to hear it. I've said all along. If Kane comes to the club and says, "I am going to see out my last year. I'm not signing a new contract," for me, Daniel Levy at that point has got to pull the plug and sell him. Yeah, we're about to start a new chapter. If you're going to start a new chapter, don't start it for a year with Kane and then Kane goes and we start again. Get the 100 million. Yeah, I'd get the 90 million. We thank Kane for everything he's done for this club and say, okay, we'll go now. Let's start our new revolution without him. And fans don't want to hear it. I know they don't.
But you know what I mean? If I'm thinking about it, it's not a disservice because he's come in basically for free. He's come in through the ranks. He's been loaned out. He's come back. He's done a brilliant service for Spurs, right? And if he leaves 80 million, 100 million, whatever the amount is, right?
Yeah.
He's leaving money in the bank.
He's
so that we can progress.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's not, you know, here, Harry Kane, you slave, come here. We need money off you, right? I don't see it like that. I see it as it's a huge stepping stone that he's leaving for us.
And it's not as if he's failed Tottenham Hotspur. The club has failed
it's
him.
It's the other way around. That's it.
You know.
Yeah, but I mean, the club has done a lot for him as well, I suppose. You know, I mean, only in the corridors and in the back offices, they'll know what each has done for you know, and vice versa. As a fan, as a Spurs fan, I love Harry Kane to bits, and I don't want him to go. But you know,
yeah, but for me,
we're just fans.
Selling Kane should be the last priority in our stuff. We should be selling a lot more players than him.
I don't put
our players don't look good, mate. So nobody wants that crap.
Hang on, go on, Dietrich. Say that again. Sorry,
no,
say that again.
For me, Kane should be the last priority, like in terms of Ange pressing, selling him for 100 million. We should be selling the Dyers and Davis before him. Then we should be thinking like maybe in the January. If he doesn't want to sign, then you should sell him. But
the problem is, Dietrich, is I agree with you completely. Of course, Kane's not the first one to go. But the problem is, if Kane turns around and says, I am not signing, I will stay one more year, but I'm not signing. If we keep him till January, now all of a sudden, in January, he can sign for another club on a free in the summer. Yeah. So if we let our best player for the last 2 decades or decade or whatever, I'm not even going to get into that debate. But if we sell one of the best players that's ever played for this club for 100 million, at least then you can go, okay, we got something for him. Thank you. If we let this guy, hang on. If we let this guy walk out the door for free, then what does that say? At least give the new manager, okay, Kane wants to go. I'm going to sell him for 100 million. What are you going to do about the forward line situation? Well, no worries. I don't play with an absolute out-and-out front man anyway. I'm going to go and buy 3 players that all interchange, all get 12 to 15 goals each. And we don't rely on one player. You let him work it out. You keep Kane for 1 year. Whatever you've been doing then, when Kane goes, you've got to change it.
Yeah, but you can still...
And you've got to invest heavily.
Yeah, but you can still keep Kane and buy those 3 players that can give you 15.
No, because you're out of pocket.
How?
You're out of pocket. You have to invest.
No, but you can still have Kane in your squad and on top of that get the...
You'd rather he goes on free, Dietrich?
Yes,
you can, but you have...
You'd rather Harry Kane went for free than getting £100 million?
Yes.
But that's emotion. That's emotion.
We're not playing Football Manager. We're not playing Football Manager here. Yeah? This is the real world.
Football Manager,
because you can't just spend money on three players when we're not going to get money for Kane. Do you not understand? Hold up, let me just have my say, because you've spoken a lot of words and not said a lot.
No, wait.
Hang on, Dietrich. Let Mia go, and then you can respond to Mia.
I respect it, sure, but Mia, can you stop with those silly digs with Football Manager? Like, I'm being respectful towards you. Can you stop with those? Because it's actually disrespectful. It is.
My point is that we're living in the real world where we have to obviously think about money. And I'm somebody who has had to live within my means and know about money a little bit. You can't just expect us to pay for other players when we're not going to get money for Kane. And that's the whole point. If we sell Kane, we'll have that money to make sure we can reinvest and not replace Kane, because Kane can't be replaced because he's very unique. But to give Ange that money back to be able to reconfigure the squad to make sure we get goals once Kane isn't there. But if we let him go on a free, we're not going to have that.
Yeah, but
Mia, does it feel
Levy
familiar
has
to you?
money.
Hang on. Whoa, hang on.
Okay,
Let
okay.
Dietrich respond.
But Levy has money, so why would we sell Kane to invest Kane's money? We can just keep Kane, let him go on the free, and invest more on top of that.
Why would you let your star player go on a free?
I would.
Haven't we learned from Ericsson? Haven't
Yeah.
we learned from Dele Alli? Haven't
I
we
was
learned
say
from
that.
this Dietrich, right? Look, Dietrich, the key thing for me is here. If Harry Kane turns around and says, I will give you one more year, he does not want to be at this football club anymore. And again, this is hypothetical. This is if he says that. If he says, I don't want to be at this football club anymore, why do we want to keep him for another year? Why?
They wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have done that for Bale, would they? That's exactly why they cashed out on Bale.
Right.
Because they
And
wanted
Phil,
to-
yeah,
they
after the
wanted
Ericsson
that-
situation, Phil, after the Ericsson situation here, do you seriously want to go through that again? Because we were talking about him downing tools. I don't want to see that in Harry Kane. I don't want to see that. So if you can take the 100 million here, take it and reinvest in the manager.
No, if Kane came to Ange and said, "Look, I'm gonna give you one more year of let's say 30 goals. I'm gonna keep on playing, but I want to leave on the free and I want to take my options," I would take that.
Yeah, but the difference is, Dietrich, again, fan emotion versus what makes commercial and football sense. You can't, if Kane walks away next year for nothing, right? Then when everyone goes, right, go on then, Spurs, what are you going to do to try and replace this guy? Well, I don't know. We've got no money for him.
Yeah, we have money.
No money.
Yeah,
No, Dietrich, you've got to remember, we need to build a whole team.
Yeah,
we need to build a whole team, and you want to spend 100 million on free forwards to play with Kane, who won't join, by the way, because they know they won't get a game above Harry Kane, right? You want us to have a year playing a formation which isn't probably what Postecoglou wants to do when Kane leaves. This is the problem. Yeah. We're so much heart and emotion over being sensible.
And Joe, what's mad is that everyone says we don't act like the big clubs. That's because we don't sell our best players at the crucial time, because everyone's so afraid of us losing our best players. Why? Yeah. No other club is afraid. Why are we so afraid?
It's like a baby in a dummy. Let it go.
What's the matter with you, look, man? What is the matter with? Why is everybody so scared? We have survived with so many other big players and haven't got relegated and not been in a relegation battle when we've lost those big players. Why are we so scared to lose Kane? Why?
Because we don't have
a direct. We
don't have a director
he means
that I can trust.
He means so much to us.
Anything. But
Dietrich, guys, by the way, I do need to stop the show in like 60 seconds. I'm meant to be live right now with Rants and Bants. If anyone wants to watch that, it's good fun. But
no problem.
Dietrich, in the last 20 years, even 30, we lost Teddy Sheringham. We survived, right? We lost Berbatov. We survived. We lost Gareth Bale. We survived. We lost Modric. We survived. We will lose Kane. We will survive. We will, because what it means is we won't replace Kane with another Kane. You can't. What we will do is find another way of playing.
Yeah.
But this whole let him go for free on purpose. Daniel Levy may be many things. He ain't stupid.
Oh yeah, he is stupid.
He's not
man. Life finds a way, man.
Dietrich,
life finds a way.
Hang on, Dietrich, see again, your heart and emotion of how much you hate him as a chairman makes you think he's stupid. If he was stupid, he would not have taken this club from 21 million to being worth £4 billion in 20 years. He's not stupid. He just doesn't do what we want him to on the football side.
Okay, but why did he do the same thing with Ericsson? Ericsson in the summer said, I want to leave, and he kept on. Do you remember the All or Nothing episode?
20 million.
He was forcing. He is stupid. I'm telling you this right now.
But Ericsson was never going to have the value of money that Kane possesses. As a footballer, Harry Kane is going to be 100 million plus. Levy will won't back down from a high price for Kane. He will want that money invested.
Guys, I've got to go. Listen, just quickly, love music. Thank you very much. I said Bastoni would have come to us in the prime Poch era, not now. Quite possibly. That's the difference between when you're flying high and when you're not. Thank you, absolutely, everyone. Dietrich, Philly, Chris, Mia. Ryan, Minerals, Phil, thank you to everyone. We'll be
Thank you,
back
Savva.
tomorrow. I'll be doing a Tottenham rant at 10 o'clock. We'll probably do more of this. It's going to be every day during the summer. I love these chats. By the way, everyone, it's never anything personal. Please always remember, it's never personal. As much as we might row, it's football. Yeah? Let's not take this to other streams and start cussing people. It's football. All right? Much love to you all. See you later. Goodbye.
Big up, everyone.